There's next to no chance you're going to make any money with HighLevel if you don't understand SaaS Mode. As a reseller and building your own SaaS brand, this is the critical component that connects you to potential prospects and makes it easy to have them have a software experience. I'm going to cover everything you need to know when it comes to SaaS Mode, hopefully answer some of the big lingering questions and set you on the path to SaaS and white label success. Let's dig right in. Now, when I mention SaaS Mode, I'm talking about HighLevel's $497 plan. This is their highest plan. Sometimes it's referred to in different naming conventions there, but you need to be paying HighLevel about $500. And what it unlocks is a SaaS configurator. You'll see this on the left side menu from the admin, the agency admin view there. And it's got a couple different scenarios. In this video, I'm going to cover what they call V1 of the SaaS Configurator because it is the only version that does everything you might want to possibly do. There is a V2, and I've got another video that goes over some of the things and processes there for V2, which is in particular useful if you want to use not Stripe, you want to use any other payment processor. But I'm going to cover V1 in this video. And so there's 4 tabs when it comes to the SaaS Configurator, and probably about 15 different options. So I'm going to go through each one of them step by step and show you this as if you were my brother and I was showing you how to get started reselling HighLevel. The first thing is the plans and pricing. This is what customers would pay. It's helpful to understand how this works is you connect a Stripe account to your agency administrator profile. So you've got a Stripe account there. Then you're going to connect Stripe account to a sub account in here. This is the account where your funnels might exist, your actual contacts and leads, and the actual payments are going to occur. Both of them are going to be connected via the same sub accounts. But so we're going to create the plans and pricing over here. It will create it inside of that Stripe account, and then we're going to import it from that Stripe account into that sub account. If it feels confusing, just stick with me. We'll walk through it. So plans and pricing. The first thing is by default, HighLevel gives you 3 plans they put in here. I don't recommend that. I say start with 1 plan, 1 price. This is how HighLevel started. This is how we started. This is how a lot of big brands started, because the biggest thing working against you right now is confusion. We want clarity. If someone wants to become your customer, there should be 1 plan, 1 price. You're going to click on add your plan, and it's going to give you an option. It says search locations. This is actually a little bit of a naming convention mix up here, but HighLevel used to call all the sub accounts locations. Now it's gotten better where they call it sub accounts. That's really what it is. So if you hear the word location, they're talking sub accounts. So right now I have another sub account connected. We'll go through this on the configure screen. By default, when you make your initial connection, you'll just have Stripe. And so we're just going to choose Stripe. This means we're going to create the plan inside of Stripe. And then we're going to import it over into that sub account. And now we're going to go through all of the plan and pricing options here. So we're going to call this our super awesome plan. My actual practical recommendation is choose a plan name that could be middle, could be top tier. Because to start, you want it to sound like this is the best and only option that there is. And then later on, you'll come up with elite or higher tiered options here. The description, it's not visible to the clients. It does show up inside of Stripe, and it's just for you as well. So this is, plan. You'll usually use like your brand name in here. So we've got our name and then the category. Categories are useful for creating consistency in the plan logic when people are upgrading or downgrading, and they also contain the currency rules. So you see all of mine here. I got 1 Canadian as an example there. But so when all of the plans in a category have to be the same currency. So if you want to change the currency, you need to change the plan or change the setting in the plan. Well, actually, you can't change the currency after the plan or after the category is created. So you just need to create a new category. The limit on categories is 20 currently at the time of this video, but that's usually more than enough for what you might need. And so you can create your category, choose the currency. But sometimes people come up with that question, like, how do I change the currency? For now, I'm going to use, our awesome category that's already there. And I already have a plan. Well, actually I have no plan. So it's showing you where is my plan going to show up right there. If I pick another one, let's pick Epic, and you see I've got my Epic category, my Epic plan, and I could say, oh, it should be the higher tier or lower tier. This, as I mentioned previously, controls the logic. What that means is you can't have a lower price plan with more features, and you can't have a higher price plan with less features. So if I said I want VIP to be top, this would perceive to be the highest priced and most feature rich plan. I could not do less than what I have in Epic. Hopefully that makes sense, but there's a consistency there. Upgrading has to be higher price, more features, and downgrading has to be lower price or less features. And for our case scenario here, I'm just going to use a plan with nothing else in it. It's a category by itself. And so this comes into like the pricing now that you said here. We've got monthly and annual pricing. If you're running to a place where it's like, man, I typed in, 47 and it won't save and it keeps on kicking it back, it usually means you have a conflict of the category. Like there's another plan in there that has a either higher or lower price or more or less features. So we can set the price. You can literally set anything. Go to $7. I go to $1. HighLevel has a minimum advertised price, but they actually don't have a limit on like what price you want to charge. So if you're not advertising it, you're just giving out to folks, you can do whatever you want. My true recommendation, because this is your only price, your only plan, is back into what you want to do. If you have the kind of life where you want to have 1,000 people paying you $1 and you want all of them to have your cell phone and text you at all times of day and night, go for it. This is your life. You get to choose it. If you don't, and you would rather have less customers and maybe more free time in your day-to-day, I'm going to recommend a higher price. But you can honestly back into this from what do you want to accomplish? How much work do you want to be involved there? And that's where you land at a price. The X factor we're not talking about is your sales skill or marketing ability to get someone to understand the value of paying whatever that price is. But right now, you just may as well do what you want. And so pick something that feels good and steady to you. I typically recommend to folks start at 97. Here's why. Sales is a game of belief. Every time you're talking to someone, it's a transfer of belief. Right now, you may not believe in yourself, but you know what you do believe? HighLevel charges $97 a month. So if you want a HighLevel account for one business, one place, it costs $97 minimum. So your belief in that fact is probably pretty strong just because it's a irrefutable fact. And so as a kind of shortcut to getting started, you can start by charging that amount. When you start doing it, you'll find in different industries, for different types of customers, a sub account inside of HighLevel is worth way more than $97. But initially, if you have low belief, steal the belief of just the firm, hard fact that HighLevel charges 97, you can charge 97. And then as an annual price, typically people do 10 times the monthly price there. You see it gave me an alert. The minimum price apparently you can do on an annual plan is $10. But for now, 10 times whatever the monthly price is reasonable. There's user limits and contact limits. I don't typically use these or recommend them, but you can say, hey, okay, if you can only go up to 5 users inside of this sub account at this tier, or you can only have, 10,000 contacts or whatever it might be. Like I said, I don't recommend this a lot because there's only certain industries where it kind of makes sense. And what you don't want to do is misprice or misfeature your avatar, meaning it's like majoring in the minors. You're focusing on the things that like they don't actually care about. So if you're only selling to sole proprietors, you could make your user limit 2 and they wouldn't care, right? Or 15, right? It's different if you're selling to like, let's say roofers where they've got crews and they might have different team members. So then it's reasonable. You're kind of saying, hey, if you have a bigger business, I want you to pay me more money, without just saying, if you have a bigger business, I want you to pay me more money. You can use the user limit or the contact limit as sort of a gate there for this tier. My recommendation is don't start with that, but you have that option. And then in terms of features, because you only have one price and one plan, I'm going to recommend you just add everything in there. You don't have to, and you're definitely not going to sell to all of the features. However, it gives you complete flexibility. This way, from reducing the friction and time for someone to just pay you money. If you run into someone on the side of the street and they're like, man, I need something better, or I want to set up blogging, or I want to have better reporting tools, or I want to start a membership or have a website, you've got one plan, one price that can solve that particular problem for them. But to start, I just say give them everything. And then you have the option later on to attach a snapshot or even do custom menu links for different add-ons there. I don't typically tell people to start in this way, but you can check out our Snap store. We do have, almost 100 different industries and different snapshots that have been vetted and tried there, which are super effective to get started. But realistically, you can get started with a lot less, and just the native features in HighLevel drive a lot of value. As we already mentioned, at least $97. And so then some of these add-ons, these are native HighLevel add-ons that you can build into the plan. They're going to charge you something. So the AI employee is $97 a month. The WhatsApp, I believe, is like $30 a month. Client portal is $50 a month. WordPress, I believe your cost is $10 or $15 a month. Listings, I believe, is $87 a month. All of these prices kind of either have a couple different pricing options there, and I'll show you where to get that. It's in the reselling tab. But just know, if I bake in WordPress, HighLevel is going to charge you. It's not going to change the price of your plan. And so this is actually an effective way to bake in some of the utilization there. So AI employee is a really cool, leverage of all of HighLevel's AI functions there. It costs $97. So my recommendation would be, if I had two plans, 97 is without the AI employee and like 197 is with the AI employee. Actually, I might say 297 is with the AI employee. You should not make less money as your customers pay you more money, if that makes sense. But for certain industries, certain things, you're like, this is highly valuable. And so now you can bake in those add-ons to your plan. Just know these all have additional pricing, like additional costs, and you should factor that in at the price that you set at the beginning. And then trials and credits. So in terms of trials, I really don't recommend it, especially to get started. I don't like free trials. There's a way to do called paid trials, if you will, but free trials tend to just attract spammers. Truly, like, people will just like sign up for your free trial to try and spam. And also it's a low retention rate because there's low commitment to even get started. Like, we see the highest amount of no-shows for an onboarding call when they're in a free trial. The credit system, though, I actually do like. This has to do with HighLevel's the marginal cost, which we'll talk about in rebilling. So the common ones are like phone, text, voice. And if you want to kind of ease the experience of paying as you go, kind of like having a price per text or price per email, this is helpful. And you can kind of bake it in. So as an example, I'm going to go to the most generous here, where I have every single month, they get an additional $10 in credits. So they pay me $97. I'm thinking of it like I got $87. And then I even have it roll over. So if month one, they use $2, month two, they technically have $18. The cool thing about this is, if they start to bank a bunch of credits here and then they unsubscribe or churn out, you can have that money back. So HighLevel has a wallet system. They call it an agency wallet, or use the administrative wallet, and then the sub-account wallet. I've got another video that goes into detail about that, but the big thing to understand is, it's not like Chuck E. Cheese. If you bank up the funds there, HighLevel will let you cash it out. It's not stuck in HighLevel's ecosystem forever, but that's how it works. This is the most generous version. And so this way, the client doesn't feel like they just paid $97 and then they have to pay, $10 to register a phone or whatever it might be. And so I like to give them some sort of credit-based system. It tends to have longer retention. So instead of charging them $100 or $97 and then no credits, if you're worried about profit margins there, backing into your goal, your math there, I would charge them $149, $137, and give them $20 worth of credits or something like that. Because especially for small, medium-sized businesses, they prefer predictable costs. It's really more enterprise that is used to fluctuating variable costs. And so for small, medium, they like predictable costs. They'd rather you charge them $149, give them $20 worth of credits, and then they don't spend more than $149 a month or whatever it might be. And the last piece here is the rebilling system. They continue to add more and more things to these. You can see right now we've got 12 different options of things that you can resell for or rebill for, and these all have marginal costs. So the phone system, that's like for voice and having the phone number and text, emails, premium trigger actions, the email verification, AI for content and workflow and voice and conversations, the WhatsApp conversations, reviews, purchasing domains, autocomplete addresses, and even like the funnel AI in here. And so by default, all of these rebill at 5% markup. That's because of the dual wallet system and credit card processing fees. You're going to get charged 3% to take their money. So if they spend, let's say $10 with you, you got charged 3%. So what HighLevel does is $10 of usage for HighLevel costs them, whatever that is, $10.50 or $10.05. I'm not sure. I think it's $10.50. So they're going to be charged $10.50 because when they get charged $10.50 to you, you might retain $10.10. And so that way it's like you're making literal pennies, but you can mark up all the way to 10x. Depending on the industry, I've seen this work. Most of the time, folks are savvy, and so just consider what gets rewarded gets repeated. And so if you like raise the price and the markup on it so much so that they stop using it, they might cancel the subscription altogether. So you're trying to find the sweet spot there where it's like they're happy reasonably paying this amount, you're happy they stay around, and then also understand this works in tandem with the credit-based system. Because if you charge them a 10x markup and then you gave them $10, it's the same as like charging them a 1x markup and then only giving them $1 of credit to use. And so you just want to make sure you're pricing appropriately for your avatar. Most of the time to start off, I say don't even bother trying to go beyond 1.05. If you're feeling good, go to 2x. And it just sort of like insulates you. And this is actually kind of part of HighLevel's monetization strategy, which is called the Blade revenue model. And I've got another video on that of how HighLevel makes money, so you can take a look at that. And so now we're going to finish, and this creates the plan. And so at this point, we now have the plan created in here. I forget what we called it. I think it was the awesome plan. I got a lot of plans in here. And we're going to go through the other 4 tabs to finish out the SaaS configurator understanding here. So the advanced setting, one of these that I mentioned is the reason why I'm walking through V1 and not V2 is because you can actually make it so that when they upgrade or downgrade, they have the appropriate feature set. This is not possible on V2 at the time of this video. The other thing you can do is you customize the welcome email that they get. This is where you can kind of manage the categories. You can add in some additional, call it security measures or just common sense measures where you pause sub accounts if they stop paying. You can turn 2FA on or off during the SaaS mode sign up. I actually don't love this one. It does tend to help prevent fraud and chargebacks, but it is an extra point of friction in signing up and creating the account. And then you can have, we'll talk through this. By default, the requests for new sub accounts. So when they try to sign up, it'll actually show up over here and it has to be approved. This is largely trying to fight scammers. There's been a lot of folks that have, HighLevel's grown in traction, and they'll try and scam, sign up with a gift card or whatever it is, and try to spend $100 in cold email selling Viagra, whatever it might be. And so these are some measures there that are designed to help that. And then in the configuration, this is for more of the V2 side of it. And I've got a whole nother video that goes into different payment processors and how you can configure the same process, but using V2. I'll show you here. You can actually preview what the onboarding, this is kind of like the welcome onboarding email looks like. And if you go to customize it, you can now customize this and change out, really every aspect of it. I definitely recommend you want to keep these variables, but you can change out the logo, which would be appropriate, change out the colors. You can honestly change anything that it has in here. The click here to log in is actually, I believe, the set password. So when they initially sign up, they get reminded of their name and their email, and then they get sent this link, which allows them to actually set their password for the first time, and then it sends them back to the login page where they can log in. But so that's everything that currently exists in V1 of the SaaS configurator. The last piece that I'll show you here is if you get through all this, you got your plan and pricing. I told you we got to connect it in a sub account. So I'm going over to my demo account here. We're going to go over to payments. Then we're going to go to products. And then you're going to see this button here to import from Stripe. And if you have the Stripe Connect set up, it'll allow you to choose the plan, and the pricing from your Stripe account. You're going to look for the ones that say SaaS plan. As you see here, we got our core and some other examples there. So they'll highlight the option of SaaS plan, allow you to bring it into a sub account. And now this allows you to sell it on a landing page via an invoice, any method that you can sell things inside of HighLevel, you can do now because the product exists in here. And anytime that plan, that SaaS plan is purchased, it will do all of the settings that we configured in the SaaS configurator. So this is foundational, critical if you're getting started inside of HighLevel with SaaS mode, but hopefully answers a couple of the questions and helps you to avoid some of the missteps that I see people make. So my encouragement, get this configured as fast as possible, and maybe check out another one of my videos of how to get your first SaaS subscriber on HighLevel.